Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is August the 25th, 2021, and today the topic is sexual immorality. I am going live a little bit later than usual. I guess I got caught up in this little research, whatever. And whatnot. And I don't know. Y'all probably thought I forgot, right? Y'all probably was like, "Oh, she said the 26th, but today's the 25th. So where's she at?" Well, I'm here, y'all. I didn't forget about you. Quite the contrary, as they would say. So yeah, as a reminder, tomorrow I'm supposed to be starting this whole little break situation. I do have some general plans for tomorrow. I am still considering to go ahead and give you guys the juice tomorrow morning because I do plan on being up early anyway. But we'll see what the Lord do, right? We'll see. But any event that I don't, I figured that, hey, why not give you all with a little something spicy to marinate on over the next few days or whatever. In my absence. As of yesterday, not too much, just worked with my acting students, made announcements in my group, again, reminding you all, or the ladies that are in my group about, this break or whatever. And so that's pretty much what I did yesterday outside of, normal stuff. Of course, behind the scenes, working on this and that. But but let's get into this topic because I know that's what y'all here for. So, did my prayer meditation and everything like that, y'all. I was thinking about a lot of different things, but eventually this came into my mind. I think as I was looking up something else, one of the verses that mentioned sexual immorality came into my mind, and I was like, oh Lord, interesting. Let's see what's going on with that. And so then that's when I started to look up these verses and these definitions and all this stuff, and here we are. So let's get into it, y'all. Sexual immorality. When I looked up the definition of sexual immorality, it says the evil ascribed to sexual acts that violate social conventions. So that's what I found in regards to a definition. I did split the words up and just looked up sexual and then also looked up immoral. I guess I'll share those really quickly. So sexual says relating to the instincts, Lord, can you read this morning? Physiological processes and activities connected with physical attraction or intimate physical contact between individuals. And then the second definition says relating to the two sexes or to gender. Then immoral says not conforming to accepted standards of morality. Already that's a lot, right? That is a lot already by itself, just the definitions. Again, you might want to go and take a look at those yourself. If you want. I found it very, very interesting, again, that second definition for sexual, acknowledging the two sexes. I guess we need to write down all these definitions while we can, y'all, before they get changed. But anywho, okay. Well, let's just see what the Bible got to say. Let's see what the Bible got to say before I start my commentary. So the first verse I came across this morning was Hebrews 13:4. It says, "Let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled, for God will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous." So many things there. Okay, so first, my first question that I had that came across my mind after reading that verse is, the first part there, it says, let marriage be held in honor. Let's stop right there. Come on. Is marriage held in honor? Y'all tell me. Some may, hold it in honor, but for the most part, it's not. It's mocked. it is, reduced to being a piece of paper. It's being made light of. People throw out husband and wife, those titles like it's nothing. So no, I don't believe that marriage is held in honor overall. But what does the word say? It says, let marriage be held in honor. So the contradiction of the world, right? First thing. Then the next thing here is talking about let the marriage bed be undefiled. Okay. That made me want to go deeper. I wanted to look up the definition of undefiled, and I did. So here it is: not made corrupt, impure, or unclean. Now I don't know. Obviously there's a lot of ways we can look at this and whatnot. Doesn't mean that everything the married couple do is undefiled, or does it mean keep it pure and holy. I don't know which way you want to look at it or whatnot, but I don't know. These are the questions and the things that came into my mind as I read that verse this morning. And it says here, for God will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous. Now, we talked about sexual and immoral and all that, so y'all know those definitions already. Just if you need a reminder of what adultery means, when I looked it up again this morning, I know I've read it before, but I just refreshing my mind, y'all. Just refreshing my memory. I'm almost 35 now, But anywho, so it is saying that adultery is having sex outside of your marriage or, with someone that is not your spouse. So there's a lot there, right? And even that one verse, we are to hold marriage in honor. That's what that verse is saying. It also is saying, the marriage bed, let it be undefiled. Okay. It's saying that God's going to judge the sexually immoral and then and adulterous. So, he's going to judge those that are sexually immoral, which we, again, all them verses or those definitions I shared before, as well as those that step outside of their marriage and have sex with someone that's not their spouse. So interesting. Let's keep going. 1 Corinthians 6:18, it says, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body. But the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. Okay, so I get exactly what it's saying here. It's not that I'm just so confused by these verses or, but we, right, as humans seem to be, it's like we don't seem to understand why it's important to do that verse right there, to flee from sexual immorality. We have all the reasons around us, right? You can see results in so many ways of what not fleeing sexual immorality does to people, to families, to in all these situations, and why sex outside of marriage and all of these things are an issue. Even though we don't look at it. I'm just gonna say we, because at one point, I'm talking about myself too. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm perfect. We as humans, it's like we don't. Okay, it's like we don't understand, or it's just boiled down to we don't care. That's what it seemed like to me. We just don't care about this, and we don't see, or we don't want to acknowledge the problem with being sexually immoral. But at the same time, a lot of us, we, deal with broken families, right? We deal with sexually transmitted diseases. We deal with mental issues. We deal with physical issues. There's a lot of things that is centered around this whole situation of being sexually immoral. And it says here clearly that it is a sin against your own body. And if people can't see like how and why and how that is, it's just, I mean, it's strange to me. Again, I feel like we know, right, and we see, but it boils down to the fact that you don't care about it. That's what I think. Or you're suppressing the truth that you know within. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was perfect all my life. I'm not. I'm not perfect now, right? I'm a human just like everybody else. But when it comes to what this says here, I mean, I think that's my issue with those that try to take issue with the word as if it's saying something that we all don't. It's like we can all see again around us the results of living sexually immoral lives. You see that all around. Yet we want to sit here and act or pretend as if there's no issue with it. And I think that, again, that's where, my passion comes from, because it's so many things. Like it deals with, it's in so many areas. I just listed several a second ago that are constant issues in human life. And, if you want to see change in those areas, if you want to see more families, if you want to see, that are staying together, if you want to see, more healthy people, if you want to see people that are not dealing with, mental and emotional trauma and all these different things, then maybe we should take a little bit more control over ourselves and these impulses or whatever the case is. Because the more that, right, we as humans, just humans overall, everybody, not sitting here talking about one group over another, all humans, if we start to take control of ourselves in this aspect, then again, maybe we'll see some changes. And now, obviously, it goes deeper than sex. I'm not sitting here but we talking about sexual immorality today. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about this in particular. I know there's a lot of other issues going on in life too, but today we're talking about sexual immorality. Okay, so anyway, let me keep going here. So I was debating about just putting this for y'all to read, but I'm just gonna go ahead and read it anyway. It's Galatians 5:19 through 21. It says, "Now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God." There are some things I still want to define. Like, I want to define enmity. I meant to, but I forgot in my process of doing all this morning. And that's one that I'm not necessarily, I don't use that word on a daily basis, so I want to refresh my mind on what that means. The rest of them, I think we got a good idea of what those words mean. Obviously some stand out more than others, like orgies. I think everybody, adult people, most of us know what that means, and whatnot. And it says here clearly that people, right, those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. I think the other thing that stood out to me about this verse right here is that first part. Now the works of the flesh are evident. It is pretty clear, like different things that are the works of the flesh, honestly. I mentioned this verse the other day, which is interesting that I came across it again today. But yeah, it's just one of those things. We can sit here again and sit here and think about how all of those things are issues. And where the problem comes in when it comes to this. At the end of the day, if nothing else that you remember about this, whether you again, that whole list or not, remembering that, hey, the works of the flesh are evident. You got a lot of examples of the works of the flesh, and it says pretty much to wrap the whole situation up again. That basically we've been warned several times about this, but it's reiterating to us that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. And so, I mean, I guess for me, it's like, the question is, what is important to you? Is inheriting the kingdom of God something that is important to you? Then you might not want to be caught up in those type of things. Or whatever. If it's not, then I guess you just partake of those things, and then you just live the life that comes with it, and receive the death that comes with it, because there's some form of death. I mean, I feel like, now this is just me and my thoughts, okay? When it says the wages of sin is death, I do believe that the death can be the spiritual or death. Perhaps it's like the depth of who you are meant to be, who you are, what you're supposed to do for God. Those things die when we're caught up in those type of sins or whatnot, or sin in general, just sin. Even though we're focusing on sexual sin right now, but sins in general, when we're not doing the will of God and operating in sin and all those things, then yes, who we are spiritually dies. So that's one way. There's physical death as well. I mean, we don't have to sit here and talk about all the abortions that take place and whatnot. How much life that has been taken before it's even had the chance to breathe their first breath or even anything. So how much life has been taken. So that's a form of death. And then again, a lot of people deal with mental issues and all these things too. So suicides and whatnot, is also an issue. That's a form of death. And then again, sometimes people get vengeful, right? People get caught up in whatever, especially when it comes to, let's talk about sexual immorality. If your husband's cheating, if your wife's cheating or something like that, those crimes of passion and whatnot, we hear about it all the time. You might kill your spouse, you might kill the person they're dealing with. All of these type of things go on. So why are we trying to sit here and pretend like sexual immorality is not no issue? It's not no big deal. Just do it, y'all. Just do it. Do whatever you want to do. And then when things happen, when there's consequences, when death happens, which the word clearly says is one of the wages of sin, then we all like, oh, like it's we're shocked and we're like appalled and we're all these different things. I'm just saying what I'm reading today, and these are different ways that I feel like there's a lot of ways that quote unquote death can happen, or whatever the case is. So whether it's the actual taking of life, or you basically losing your life to being a slave to sin, either way is death, and whatnot. So I hope that helps in regards to being something deeper to think about when it comes to this issue of sexual immorality. There are several verses in the Go Deeper section that can kind of touch on some of the things. I know that there's hot button topics in the mix of those Go Deeper verses today, but people take issue with they take issue with the Bible in general, but y'all know that the whole LGBT thing and all this stuff is a hot button topic and issue. People will come straight up to you and be like, "What, is this a sin? Is that a sin?" I mean, well, what does the word say? Why you asking me? You already know what it say. So why you sitting here trying to start something or trying to what you want me to say? You want me to say that it don't say what it say? And regardless, it's like, all right, y'all, here's some hope. When it comes to all of this. People tend to think about what it says about homosexuality. They focus on that, and they want to harp on that, and they want to get mad about that, and they want to build a mountain out of a molehill of that, and focus just on that, and then get mad and say that others are focusing on it when at the end of the day you're focused on it. You're focused on it so much where you're trying to make it your lifestyle and push it on everybody. But that's something else. That's something totally different. What I want to bring up here in this moment, which could be some hope aside from what I just said, is that this goes deep. There are things that are specifically mentioned in the Bible about as warnings, right? As warnings, as that other verse mentioned. Warnings for all of us, right? And there's some things that are specifically mentioned that it's like, hey, don't do this, and if you do this, there's consequences basically for that. Now, the thing is, when it comes to sexual immorality, yes, as it says, it's a sin against your own body and all of those things. And some people may not see the issue with that, right? Well, let's think about it, y'all. At the end of the day, aside from marriage, right? Aside from, cheating on your spouse and all that, aside from even the whole LGBT thing, let's talk about what other sexual practices are out there, right? Because if you're not going to, right, go by a moral code, which is having some limits to this whole thing, then it's like anything goes. And so then when it comes to bestiality, I mean, how y'all feel about it? Now, the interesting thing is I had to look that up, and it's funny, I was spelling it wrong. Y'all might know it as bestiality, but it's called bestiality. That's one thing I found this morning. So for the record. Now, if you're not familiar with what that is basically sex with animals. It's said in the words several times, don't have sex with animals. Now, we don't talk about it, right? People don't talk about it. But is that not an issue? Yes. If you don't know, now you know. Yes. There's a reason why we have a word for it. There's a reason why it's in the Bible. There's a reason why, even though we don't talk about this sexual practice, it is clearly immoral, right? Like, I mean, but hey, I mean, maybe not to some people, because some people believe that they're animals. Some people, want to live a life as an animal and all these different things. That is out there. And if you don't know, go Google or go it or something like that. See what I'm talking about. Now, I know I've read books that have, that had some scenes in there, thrown in there, with some bestiality in it. Obviously getting people's minds to, open up to this idea of like it's a good thing. That's one thing I've seen for sure. I know that there's video. I haven't watched no videos of no bestiality. That's not something I want to see. But the fact that there are videos to be watched means that this is an issue. This is something that happens. Now, again, we got Allie's confession, right? So we got her feedback that majority of people, because that's one thing I heard, right? Back in the day, probably when I was young, I heard about women that slept with horses and whatnot. And I'm like, what woman would want to do that? Like, what woman would be cool with doing that? But when we heard the confession from Allie and the everything that's going on behind the scenes, perhaps these women are being forced to do that. So I will give them that. The ones that are actually, involved in such videos and whatnot. Like, perhaps they are being forced to do this. So with that being said, and no judgment, I'm just letting y'all know that this stuff is out here. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of that or whatever the case is, I mean, God's gonna, again, it says here that God's gonna judge the sexually immoral. I don't have no heaven or hell to put nobody in. All I know is it's clearly immoral to me to have sex with animals. But I mean, some people don't believe that. I don't know. And then whether there's videos or not, I've seen reports come out recently about a doctor. I want to say a veterinarian was caught up with having, sex with animals. I heard about a man and a fish recently. Like, I'm just telling you what's out here. So where we gonna draw the line? Because you don't want to draw the line at what the Bible say. So there's no line. And then do I have to mention pedophilia again? Now the interesting thing about that, now if you don't know what that means, is sex with children. Okay. Now I don't necessarily see anything in the word that mentions pedophilia in particular. However, again, going off of, if we go back to Allie's testimony about what she experienced as she was young and how she grew up and not knowing whether to believe what the Bible say and all these different things because of the way that it was misused, whatnot throughout her life. to me, that's a clear example of that verse that says, "Do not suffer the little children of coming unto me," and all these different things. People, again, like I mentioned before in a previous juice, that people don't think about how this affects the kid. People are not thinking, and then the fact that, again, I'm hearing so many reports about, the infants and all that stuff. Like, clearly, there's no way that an infant came onto you for you to feel like, oh, this baby wants what I have to offer. Like, there's something wrong here, and so the more we try to blur this line of sexual immorality, I'm just saying that the deeper it goes. Y'all know about polygamy and whatnot too. Now, yes, it's in the Bible. Yes, it was in the Bible. Now, does that mean that was God's will? I don't believe so. Because, hey, listen, when I see anything about a man and his wife and whatnot, I don't see it say, well, him and wives and whatnot. Now, I'm talking about when I'm referring to God's order, God's commands regarding it. Not talking about how people that went and had wives and concubines and all that, and the accounts of him and his wives and whatnot. I'm talking about what the Bible say in regards to a man should cleave to his wife, and those type of commandments and things like that. That's what I'm talking about. I don't see it refer to when it's like the man, his wife, them, and his wife and all that. I see it say and she and her, and and stuff like that, as if it's talking about one. That's what I see in those points of the Bible. Now, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I know that it's in there. I want to say Pastor David went in on that one day, so y'all can look on Christ Forgiveness Ministries and look up polygamy and all that. He did a explanation of why that could have been and all those different things. So if that's something you want to go deeper about, check him out. However, I think that it's very clear, like, God's intention was man and wife, one man, one wife, and all of that. But that's just my, that's what I'm reading. Y'all can, again, correct me if I'm wrong here. So with that being said, let me go ahead and share with you all these last couple of verses right here. With that being said, again, I told you all, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm perfect. Just to reiterate this fact, Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. All. Me, you, everybody. And if you acting like you haven't sinned, you're a liar according to the Bible. So, and that's a verse as well, if you want to quote me on it. If you want to not believe what I just said. But it's in the Bible, that basically. Anyway, 1 John 3:4 says, everyone who makes a practice of sinning, it also practice lawlessness. In sin is lawlessness. So again, I think that's where the issues come in when it comes to this whole sexual immorality thing. It's like making a practice of things, out here, yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to reiterate. You're making a practice of it, and it's lawlessness according to the word. And then Proverbs 28:13 says, whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy. So, I mean, again, all have sinned and fallen short, right? So, what do we need to do? You need to confess your sin and forsake them, right? And forsake what? Forsake your sin, right? You can't be practicing lawlessness, making it a lifestyle, making it a life choice, repeatedly doing the sin. You have to confess your sin and forsake your sin. And that's how you're going to obtain mercy and all things like that. Again, I know that this subject is deep. I'm just giving y'all something to marinate on over the next few days. Again, if I don't go live tomorrow, then y'all got something real good to marinate on over the next few days until I get back. I hope y'all enjoyed this whole little chat about sexual immorality. Again, y'all can go deeper with all of these different verses and whatnot that's in the go deeper section. But hey, whether you like it or not, that's the juice. The Bible verse of today is 2 Corinthians 4:16. It says, for which cause we Both. It looks like I wrote both. That is not. I don't know. Not but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. For which cause we. I don't know what I wrote, y'all, so my apologies for that. I keep messing up on the Bible verse of the day. I need to just slow down, but I almost forgot it. That's what it was. I almost forgot to write down the Bible verse of the day today, and I was like, oh, let me go back and get it. So, yeah. For which cause we faint? Not. That could be faint. But go and look at it yourself. 2 Corinthians 4:16. I'm just going to read it again just in case. I'm going to say it's faint, but it might not be. I don't know. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all on the 30th, if the Lord's will, or the 31st, if the Lord's will. Just a reminder, again, if I don't go live between now and then, on Friday, there's an episode of God, Sex, and Love, the talk show that's going to be airing. It is a special episode because it's featuring my mother. Yes, my lovely mommy. She's going to be featured on God, Sex, and Love this Friday at 7 p.m. Prayerfully, Lord. Come on now. It will go live on our Facebook and on our Instagram. Why am I saying Instagram? I'm on vacation mode already. On our Facebook and on our YouTube. It should be going live at 7 p.m. It is in the queue. Hopefully we won't have any issues. So that's something that's going on Friday. Still be on the lookout for different posts and whatnot. I'm still going to try to get the Bible verse of today posted. So if so, y'all, shout out to my homegirl, Elizabeth, the virtual assistants sent directly from the Lord for your girl. She'll be posting on my Instagram on my behalf. And so we'll at least try to get the Bible verse out of the day out to you all. If you all missed the sound of my voice over the next few days, there's plenty of juices that you all can listen to on any, again, podcast platform. I've done over 400 and something of them now. So, I mean, go back and re-listen to something, y'all, but if not, hey, definitely let this marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. This one from today, because I mean, hey, sexual immorality out here. Sexual immorality is rampant, you know what I'm saying? And it's I'm not telling y'all nothing y'all don't know, though. But anywho, but that's what's going on, y'all. Tomorrow is the day, with the Lord's will, start of this vacation, man. All right, so, but yeah, look forward to talking to y'all on the 31st. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye. This has been brought to you in part by Anointed Touch, Health, Fitness, and Beauty. Eat right and exercise daily. Walk with God, run from the devil. 1 John 20:20, you have an anointing from the Holy One. Visit anointedtouch-hfb.com for more information.